Okay, so we all know, like, believing in yourself is super important for anything creative, right?
Right.
But how do you actually get that confidence, especially when, you've got writer's block or you start doubting yourself?
Yeah.
So we're diving into this blog post all about using affirmations specifically for writers.
Okay.
It's from a website called The Affirmationist.
Interesting.
And it's not just about, like, repeating positive phrases. This post, it really gets into, like, the science behind it all, like how they can actually help you get past those writing hurdles, you
Yeah.
know?
What I thought was really interesting is how it doesn't just like give you like generic affirmations.
Oh, yeah.
It really connects it to like the psychology of being a writer
You're right.
and how to use these affirmations to kind of, deal with all those tricky emotions that come up.
Yeah, for sure. And the way they break down the writer's journey, it's so relatable. Like they talk about that initial spark, when you get an idea, it's
Yeah.
always so exciting.
It is.
But then, almost always you fall into this like this valley of self-doubt.
Oh, yeah.
That
I know
feeling.
that feeling very well.
Like, who am I to write this? Or like, this is never going to be good enough.
Right. And it's like a universal experience.
Totally.
It doesn't matter if you've written like a million books,
Yeah.
or you're just getting started.
Yeah.
That inner critic, it's like it never goes away. I love how the article talks about that fear of failure and how it can be so like paralyzing.
So-
It's like you're staring at the blank page and you're frozen
Yeah.
and you're like, I've lost it. I've lost my creative mojo.
Oh, I've been there so many times.
Yeah, me too.
But then, just when you're about to give up, you get those peaks of inspiration that the article talks about.
Right.
Suddenly the words are just flowing and a character comes to life and you remember why you love writing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's those moments, right? Those moments of like pure creative flow that, make all the struggle worthwhile.
Absolutely.
But wouldn't it be amazing if we could, experience that more consistently?
Oh, for sure.
That's where these affirmations come in. And what really got me was how they explained the science of it, how affirmations can actually like rewire your brain.
Rewire our brains.
Yeah, to get rid of all those negative thought patterns, the ones that hold us back.
Okay, I definitely want to hear more about that.
Well, think about it. Our brains they're incredible, right? They can adapt to almost anything.
Yeah.
And every time we think something, every time we do something, we're kind of strengthening certain pathways in our brains.
Okay.
So when we're constantly telling ourselves things like, I'm not a good writer, or I'll never finish this, guess what?
Right.
Our brains start to believe it.
Oh, no.
It's like, those pathways associated with self-doubt, they become like these super highways of negativity.
I can see that. So affirmations are kind of like building new pathways then.
Yeah.
Ones that are like paved with, I don't know, like confidence and believing in yourself.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
They talk about neuroplasticity. Basically, it's the brain's ability to like change and adapt throughout our lives.
It's interesting.
So by repeating these affirmations, we're kind of training our brains to focus on the positive.
Right.
And over time, those negative connections, they start to weaken.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this works. But is there a risk that affirmations could, I don't know, turn into like self-deception? Like what if we're just, masking our insecurities with positive phrases?
Oh, that's a great question. And actually, they talk about that in the article too.
Okay, good.
The key is to use affirmations not as a way to like, pretend our challenges don't exist,
Right.
but as a way to approach them with a more, I guess, empowered mindset.
Okay.
It's about changing our perspective, not denying reality. So instead of trying to convince yourself, that you're this perfect writer who never struggles, you're using affirmations to remind yourself of your strengths, right? Your resilience, your commitment to your craft.
So it's more about like, developing a healthy mindset rather than pretending everything's perfect.
Exactly.
For sure.
And what's really interesting is there's research that shows that affirmations are most effective when you combine them with action.
Okay.
You can't just like repeat positive phrases and expect things to change.
100%.
You have to actually put in the work too.
Right. It's like a dance,
Yeah.
Mindset and action. You need both to move
I
forward.
need both. Yeah.
So how do we make those affirmations really powerful, like really effective?
Right.
Does the blog post give any specific tips? So now we know like how affirmations actually like work on our brains.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how to make them, really work for us. The article gives some really good advice. It's not just about like picking any inspirational quote.
No, definitely not. I mean, those generic affirmations, they might make you feel good for a minute, but
Yeah.
they don't really, stick with you,
Right.
especially if they're not, specific to you and what you want to achieve with your writing.
So it's all about personalizing them.
Exactly. It's like, you have to think about your strengths
Yeah.
or the areas where you want to get better, and then create affirmations that speak to those things directly. Like
Yeah.
instead of saying, I am a good writer, which is kind of vague, right?
Yeah.
You could say something like, I am amazing at creating vivid descriptions that, really transport my readers.
Yeah.
Especially if that's something you enjoy doing and you're good at it.
It's like tailoring a suit, you know?
Yeah.
You want it to fit you perfectly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing is to use the present tense. When you phrase your affirmations that way, it's like you're tricking your brain
Uh-huh.
into believing that what you're saying is already true.
Right.
And that makes that positive pathway in your brain even stronger.
So instead of saying I will become a successful novelist, I would say I am a successful novelist,
Yes.
attracting a wide and engaged readership.
Exactly. You're getting it.
This is kind of fun. I'm already feeling more confident.
That's great. That's what we want.
The article also talks about using positive language, right?
Right. It's focusing on what you want, not what you don't want.
Okay.
So instead of saying, I am not afraid of rejection.
Which still kind of makes you think about rejection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could say, I welcome feedback because it helps me grow and improve my writing.
Oh, I like that. It's like turning it into a positive.
Right.
What about keeping the affirmations like short and easy to remember?
Oh, that's important. You want something you can, easily remember and repeat,
Right.
like a mantra you can use whenever you need a boost.
Okay, let's try this out. Let's say I'm stuck. I've got writer's block, staring at that blank page. What kind of affirmation could help me?
Well, usually when we're blocked, it's because we're stuck in these negative thoughts.
Yeah, like I'm stuck. I have no ideas. I'll never finish this.
Exactly. So a good affirmation would be something like, my creativity flows effortlessly, giving me tons of new and exciting ideas.
That feels so much better than just saying I don't have writer's block.
Right.
That almost feels like I'm ignoring the problem.
Yeah.
But this affirmation, it's like opening a window and letting the fresh air in.
Exactly. It's about shifting your energy,
Yeah.
and inviting that creativity back in.
But, just repeating an affirmation like over and over like a robot,
Yeah.
that doesn't really seem like it would work.
You're right. It's not just about the words themselves. It's about the feeling behind them.
Okay, so how do I make sure I'm really feeling it, not just going through the motions?
Well, the article suggests a few things. You could, say your affirmations out loud in the mirror first thing in the morning,
Okay.
or write them down in a journal before you start writing,
Mm-hmm.
or even record yourself saying them and listen back to it.
Interesting.
It's about finding what works for you,
Mhm.
what fits into your life.
And being consistent, right?
Yes, consistency is key.
The article also mentions combining affirmations with other things like visualization.
Oh, yeah. Visualization can be really powerful.
How so?
Well, you close your eyes and you really imagine yourself writing,
Mm-hmm.
The words are flowing onto the page.
Okay.
Or you can combine affirmations with meditation to quiet your mind
Right.
and create a space for those positive affirmations to really sink in.
It's amazing how we can use different techniques to make those affirmations more powerful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But what about those times when you try affirmations and you just, you don't feel anything?
That happens, especially if you've been carrying around, negative beliefs for a long time. There might be some resistance,
Mm-hmm.
or even a sense of like, this isn't working.
Yeah.
But it's important to be kind to yourself,
Yeah.
Acknowledge those feelings, but don't judge yourself for having them.
Okay.
And just gently, bring your focus back to the affirmation.
It's like training a muscle.
Well,
Right.
It takes time and practice.
What I really like about this article is that it doesn't just tell you, how to use affirmations.
What?
It actually gives you like specific examples of how to use them for common writing challenges.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
It's like having a whole toolbox of affirmations ready to go.
Exactly. And it really, brings the whole concept to life.
I know a lot of writers, myself included, who struggle with things like rejection or perfectionism or that, that feeling of being an imposter.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about those a bit more?
Sure. I mean, those are all really common things that writers deal with.
Yeah.
Let's start with rejection. It's so easy to take those rejections personally,
It is.
and let them like crush your confidence.
Well,
But the article suggests affirmations like rejection is just a redirection,
yeah.
It's guiding me towards the right path for my work.
Hmm.
Or my worth as a writer doesn't depend on what other people think.
It's like you're taking that rejection and turning it into a positive,
Yeah.
a way to improve your work and find the right place for your story.
Exactly. And then there's perfectionism, which can be like the death of creativity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Affirmations like, I embrace the imperfections in my writing process. Or, I don't need to be perfect, I just need to create.
Right.
Those can really help quiet that inner critic.
It's a good reminder that writing is a process.
Yeah.
And sometimes the best stuff comes from those unexpected moments, those imperfections.
Absolutely. And then we have imposter syndrome, that feeling that you're not good enough,
Yeah.
that you're a fraud, even when you've, achieved some success.
It's sneaky, right? It can really get to you.
It is. It can undermine even the most talented writers.
I think every writer has felt that way at some point.
Probably, yeah. And affirmations like, I deserve recognition and success, my talent and hard work show in my writing,
Uh-huh.
or I trust my unique voice and perspective. Those can be really helpful in fighting those negative thoughts.
It's like you're giving yourself permission to believe in yourself and your abilities.
Exactly.
It just occurred to me that affirmations aren't just for writers.
That's a good point.
I mean, anyone who's facing challenges, whether it's in their creative life, their work, or even their relationships,
Yeah.
could benefit from, positive self-talk.
Absolutely. It's about creating a mindset that helps us grow and be happy no matter what we're doing or what we're trying to achieve.
I totally agree. So what does all this mean for our listeners?
Mm.
How can they use these ideas about affirmations in their own writing journey?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's like we've got this amazing toolkit, right? For like changing our mindset. And it's not just for writing, but I think for writers especially, affirmations can be so helpful because, so much of writing is internal.
Right. It's all in your head.
It's all about, the thoughts, the beliefs and how we see ourselves.
Exactly. And what I love about affirmations is that they give us a way to like consciously change those thoughts.
Yeah.
Instead of letting our doubts and insecurities control us, we can choose to focus on thoughts that make us feel good, that inspire us.
Totally. And the blog post talks about self-care too and how taking care of yourself can actually make affirmations work better. Oh,
They suggest things like meditation, visualization, and keeping a gratitude journal.
yeah, it's all about recognizing that how we feel mentally and emotionally, it really affects our ability to be creative, right? When we take care of ourselves, we're creating the right conditions for inspiration to flow.
Mm-hmm.
And I've found that, when I combine affirmations with something like meditation, it's like those positive messages really, really sink in.
It's like you're preparing the soil.
Yeah.
So that those seeds of self-belief can grow.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into affirmations for writers, what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away from this? I hope they realize that affirmations aren't just some fluffy,
Yeah.
self-help.
Right.
They're based on science,
Mhm.
They're rooted in psychology, and when you use them the right way, they can really help you unlock your potential as a writer.
Totally. It's about using the power of your own mind to break through those limitations and tell the stories that are inside you.
Exactly.
So go ahead. Give affirmations a try. Experiment with different phrases, find what works for you and make them a regular part of your writing routine. And here's a final thought, to think about. What if instead of focusing on what you think you're not good at as a writer, you started celebrating what makes you unique? What strengths, what experiences, what perspectives do you bring to your writing that nobody else does? Remember, your voice matters. Your story deserves to be told. And with affirmations, you can find the confidence and the clarity to make it happen.